Uh-oh, Father's Day is right around the corner and you haven't gotten your dad anything yet. Don't worry, that's where the sponsor of today's show, Manscaped, comes in. You and I both know he needs some serious grooming in his life, so grab your dad the Performance Package 4.0 and he'll thank you for helping him tame his beast. It's a win-win situation for both mom and dad. Go to manscaped.com and use promo code RINKRAT, that is RINKRAT, for 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the promo code RINKRAT. Don't forget that you came from your dad's balls. This year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. All right, we're recording. Welcome, everyone, to the Rink Rat Report Podcast. Joined today by Jamie Phillips, former pro goaltender, goalie coach of the Michigan Tech Huskies, host of the podcast Goalie Science, and owner of EGM, the Elite Goalie Method. Jamie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So today we're going to be talking about a goalie technique called the RVH, or the reverse V hybrid. And we're going to be telling everyone what it's about, when goalies are typically supposed to use it, and how a player can take advantage of a goalie that's not using RVH properly. So I've been following Jamie's stuff for about a year or so now, and I think he's got a wealth of knowledge in this and will help kind of skaters learn what it is and how they can kind of take advantage of it. So let's get right into it. Jamie, what is the RVH?
Yeah, so the RVH is reverse vertical horizontal, and this stemmed after another save called the VH, which was the vertical horizontal. So essentially the VH was the inside pad, or the pad closest to the post was up, and then the nether pad was down. Now those legs have switched. So essentially the RVH is a way for the goalie to seal the short side of the net as best as possible, while also allowing for the most amount of mobility off that post. The problem with the VH and why it kind of died out, and we'll actually see in one of the clips, is it's really easy to get locked in the VH position and not be able to move, where in the RVH, you can use that post as leverage while still being able to seal that short side.
Yes, and when I was coming up, it's funny you mentioned you get locked in, because it was literally called the leg lock. So makes sense there. And yeah, the clip that we have coming up really does a great job of showing that. And so when should goalies use the RVH?
So this is where all the argument and debate stems. And you'll see, like, whenever there's a goal on this, everyone on the internet and their grandparents will complain about the RVH and how it's some sort of flawed thing and it needs to change. But so my opinion of it is, it's not the save itself. I think the RVH is a very good save selection. Often the execution of it is typically the problem, whether it was improper execution or improper timing or play reading. Now, I have a rule that I like my goalies to follow. It's called the golden triangle. So if you're a goalie, or even if you're a player and you're not sure what that is, I have it somewhere on my Instagram. I made it like a 90-second video, and it just explains that since the purpose of the RVH is to seal the short side of the post, where is the puck position when the short side is almost or all the available net? And that's typically when the puck is on the goal line, below the bottom of the circle. Anything outside kind of that bottom of the circle area, the puck, you can make a read. The puck's further away, so you can either step off or you can enter in the RVH. You have time. Then when the puck gets to like right at the bottom, or kind of like the apex of the circle, it would be a position where you no longer really have time to react to it. So you have to enter more of a blocking position to seal that short side. So for me, anything within this triangle, and when we pull up the video, I'll draw a triangle and kind of explain it. It's just because if the purpose is to seal the short side, that's usually when that's the only side available. If the puck is outside that triangle and you have more far side than that available, in my opinion, there are better saves that you can use as long as your reads go well.
Exactly. And actually, this is a Leafs podcast, so we have to mention Matt Murray, I find, is a guy that pucks at the blue line, and this guy's still sitting in RVH. I don't know how he didn't give up any goals where it was like just a shot from the blue line with him in that position, but he takes up a lot of nets. So he has that.
Yeah, it's funny because there's actually there's two things. There's is there a clip of
there's a couple Matt
Murray?
Murrays.
Is there a Vancouver clip? I honestly, I like to watch all these clips blind. I previewed the Allmark one, but I like to like go into it just like fresh without any like preconceived
Oh yeah.
notions. But with Murray, they're actually, I don't know if it was for my Patreon or not, but I broke down a bunch of goals and he was giving up RVH goals because he was entering it when the puck was around the hash, but
Oh, yeah.
basically as high as the hash mark, and he was just getting exposed on the far side. And the thing is, it's a really, I don't want to say lazy, but it's an easy save to enter. There's a shot, maybe you make the save, there are rebounds there. It's easy to slide into the post. It's
Mhm.
just easy. It's comfortable. It doesn't take too much work. Whereas getting up and recovering takes a little bit extra energy. For me, I think the juice is worth the squeeze where it just comes up. You can be on your feet, you're in better position, and you're more mobile. You can move in many more directions rather than being limited to being able to either hold your post or push off the post. And so that's where my belief is. I mean, other people
Mhm.
are going to argue. I know Ian Clark in Vancouver. I disagree quite a bit with his style. I know he likes his goalies as soon as the puck enters a certain area. I think it's as soon as the puck gets to the hash marks, he wants his guys down into it. For
Oh,
me, I don't like it. I don't like to see the game in black and white. I like to
mhm.
keep it as dynamic as possible. And I want my goalies, I'd rather train the ability to read and understand the play and understand a situation and when you have to use what save and when, rather than being like, okay, as soon as the puck comes here, now you have to do this. Now you have to do that. Because then you stop kind of thinking the game and you I don't want to say you become robotic because I think that term has kind of lost all meaning, but you are making the first move and you're
Mhm.
kind of you might get caught making the wrong move is kind of how I would say it.
Exactly. And you mentioned like, oh, it's like a lazy thing to get into, but when you're moving around in the RVH, like your legs are on fire. You would know that too. Like
Mhm.
it can be pretty taxing on the legs there, but I do know what you mean. It takes a lot. It's like kind of like an awkward movement to get out of because you're trained to pucks in the right corner. You're getting up with your left leg, so you have power to push towards the right.
Mhm.
Whereas in the RVH, your leg is down and you got to kind of make an extra little movement to get out of it. Um, but anyways, so I think that covers what is the RVH, when
Mhm.
should the goalie be in the RVH, the advantages of the RVH. Shall we get into the clips that we have?
I haven't watched this one. I like to go in completely blind, so let's just watch it and see it through.
Okay. For everyone listening on audio, it's the Wyatt Johnson backhand shelf show on Philip Grubauer uh, in Game 7, I believe it was.
Okay, so before we begin, so let me draw out my golden triangle just so that everyone can kind of get a visual. So it's here, the goal line in this area. So anytime the puck is in this kind of in this triangle area, the short side of the net is basically the only available part. Anytime a guy shoots aiming for Grubauer, the blocker side post, the far side post, it's probably going to go wide, or it's going to have to go through the goalie's body. So as that puck approaches, so I think so this one's a tough one because it's
Mm-hmm.
inside that range. Now, for me, what I don't like is he pulls his shoulder off the post rather than
Mm.
sealing that short side. And the problem is because it's on the backhand. And as
Mm-hmm.
soon as the puck's on the backhand, it's very hard to read.
Yeah.
Um, and because as a guy on his backhand, so as a righty, he has the option to fake and have a quick wraparound. So that overlap, if Grubauer chose to do an overlap and got stuck here, it
Mm-hmm.
is a difficult transition. Now, I think the RVH in my mind is the right save selection. I think the execution wasn't good because he popped off that post. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as that puck is released from right here, there really isn't much far side.
No.
So I wouldn't worry about that. One thing, sometimes you'll see guys like Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, a lot of the Russian goalies, they like to have an active hand in the RVH. So that glove kind of covers over and seals that puck.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, seals the upper part of the net. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. It is a very tough skill to learn. But for me, it's just as that puck comes, you can see that Grubauer pulls himself off that post. And him being a short goalie to begin with, short as in
Yeah.
6 feet, so relative to his peers, uh, it just opens up that net. But for me, that RVH is the right the right choice on that one.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, I guess, like it makes it more difficult for Grubauer in this position because Wyatt Johnson does give himself a couple of options there. And
Mhm.
it is a fantastic finish when you look at it, like a
Yeah.
backhand in motion like that, straight underneath the bar. Like,
Mhm.
but essentially what the player could be looking for there would be like, once the goalie goes into the RVH, how much of that upper short side are they giving you?
Yeah.
If they don't go into the RVH, then as you mentioned earlier, that could be a good opportunity to give it a little wraparound there. So, couple
I
things
think,
to, yeah.
yeah. And as we watch it, I do think Grubauer was like reading Rap.
Mm.
As a righty on that side, that's a hard shot to get
Oh
up.
yeah.
Like that's a fantastic shot. So you can see that Grubauer positions his chest more upright
Mm.
than towards the ceiling, the short side,
Yeah.
getting his foot in position to seal the far post.
Mhm.
So, obviously you have to talk to him to see how he read it. But for me, I think he might have been anticipating that wrap because, to be honest, the wrap is the easier play,
Yeah.
or a wrap and pass as a righty coming down the right side. That's the easier play.
Exactly. Yeah. 20-year-old kid put in a game
Yeah.
7, putting it straight under the bar like that. What a goal. I think we've broken down this one pretty good though, and the options on it too. Let's
Yeah.
get into the William Nylander game tying goal from game
Mm.
5. Again, this is another play where it looks like it's from a weaker kind of angle, but I really like what William Nylander did on this play. What do you see here, Jamie?
I remember watching this live and I couldn't get like a great read on it. So I'm surprised Bobrovsky didn't have an active hand on this.
Hmm.
I don't know if he just didn't expect the shot coming.
Hmm.
So for me, like, I think he didn't expect it.
No,
He also on this one, let's see, where does his foot end up?
might have missed the post a little bit there too.
Either that or it looks like he goes skate on post. Now,
Uh,
Bobrovsky, I've noticed a lot. He doesn't go skate on post as much as he used to. The thing is, and I've also made another video about this. And when you go skate on post, it's about around 3 to 4 inches more you have to lean to seal the ice rather than getting a lock on your toe. And those are 3 to 4 inches that you can't really afford to give. And because of
mhm.
that, and because of the way that, I mean, I guess, look, the way the save was executed, he definitely was not expecting that shot.
No.
Shoulders are coming down. He wasn't ready. So for me, again, it's just like he wasn't ready for that shot, or he didn't expect it to come
Mhm.
that quickly. And he just got caught behind the play.
Yeah. And if you back it up just a hair there, I mean, look at Nylander's body position too on this one. Like it was, he completely faked out Bobrovsky on this. Similar
Mhm.
to the Wyatt Johnson one, this looks like it's going to be a wraparound. Like the way
Yeah.
that his body positions, he's not showing shot at all. So as a result, Bobrovsky doesn't read it as a shot. He reads that as more of a wrap. And so he gives up that upper short side of the net. Again, this is
Mhm.
a very good shot because, like, your Tuesday men's league buddy's not going to be able to complete this. But again, the element of what am I going to do, not tipping your hand and,
Mhm.
kind of catching the goalie off guard by that. That's what really makes this a pretty talented play by Nylander from a very low percentage angle, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and like going with my golden triangle rule, it's hard because he's starting to enter the triangle,
Mm-hmm.
but if you follow that rule, he's still kind of outside of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Meaning
yeah,
for me,
that's a
like
good point.
like if that shot is released from there, an
Mm-hmm.
overlap or just a butterfly is like a perfect save.
Yeah.
But since he's coming in so much motion, he also is getting caught in transition, and that is a really tough thing to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
work a lot on just overlap, so foot outside the post, being able to enter the RVH as seamlessly as possible. And this was just kind of a perfect storm of Borowski not really expecting it, him going skate on post and getting caught in transition. It unfortunately added up at just a tough time of the
Mm-hmm.
game for Florida to tie it up, or sorry, for
Right.
Toronto to tie it up.
Yeah, especially he played awesome that game there
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I think we got that one covered pretty well. Okay, so this was the game 5 second Tampa Bay goal from Michaelis
Mhm.
Acement. What do you kind of see here on this one? It was a bit of a weaker one, I will say, for
Yes.
on Samsonov, but what do you see here on this one?
I just see a missed edge, nothing
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So everything I position, so we have a lefty coming down. So a lefty really has the most amount of net on the short side.
Mm-hmm.
So Samsonov's doing a good job. He's got his foot outside the post. He's got an overlap. Um, Puck's high. That puck gets released pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is he hits he catches his heel on the post.
Okay.
And that's it. So that it was just either bad, just a bad luck, or it was poor execution of the overlap into RVH. But he ends up getting caught in the post actually before that puck's even released, loses his balance, and he gets beat. So that's just a mistake by him. And it's just getting caught in the post. And so again, like you'll see people, like someone complain about something, but it happens. It's like a player catching his edge when they're trying to pivot when they're on the blue line. It's just bad luck. It's just bad luck on this case. He catches his post. And he gets beat.
Yeah.
So this wasn't anything of a special shot. This is a create a rebound kind of shot.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he saw him catching his edge. This is just trying to pop it. And he got lucky that Samsonov caught the post.
Yeah. In plays like this where the goalie is going from overlap, so within his stance, and they're transitioning into the RVH, what would you say a player should look for to be able to kind of take advantage of the goalie in that position?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, like I feel like I always refer to my Instagram videos just because I make so many of them trying to explain a lot of these concepts.
They're good. They're very good.
Well, I appreciate
really
that.
like
So the one thing, like I said before, my goal when teaching this is to make the transition as seamless as possible, meaning we're exposing as little of the short side as we can to enter. If you're a player and you're getting to this area and you start to see the goalie go down, be aware that you're going to have a little bit of room just under the bar available, but also take note if the goalie's first motion is kind of towards the middle of the crease and then back. So for me, that's a sign of a goalie that, I wouldn't say a weak skater, but there's some deficiencies in his ability to enter the post because he has to move towards the middle in order to create that separation from his, I guess on this side, the blocker leg and that post, just to be able to enter. Now, a really good goalie will be able to have a little bit of backwards momentum and have just a miniature C cut while still keeping their shoulder almost flush to the post and then being able to seal that short side.
Breeze right back in for Toronto. His backhander knocked down by Gunn.
And so if I'm a player, that's what I'm looking for, is to get into a position where this goalie all of a sudden pushes back, quick shot. You might get at the very worst, you're going to catch him in a position where he's not able to really control his rebound. And now he's going to scramble. And at the very best, you're going to be able to score.
Okay. Yeah, that is a very good point. I have seen the videos where it was someone was trying to show Thatcher Demko, and they're like, wow, like look at him practicing here. And you made a video, you're like, why is he moving away from the net and then into the post? It should be all one motion there. So that was one of my first videos that people came after me, but there was a lot of oh, he's an NHL goalie. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. I don't care what Thatcher Demko does. I don't coach him. I care what my goalies do. And yeah, that was the one. And a few actually NHL guys reached out to me and we're talking about it. And yeah, and so we actually all ended up agreeing. It was just there was no play. And the thing is whenever that puck, in a situation like this, if a goalie ends up in their butterfly outside the post and that puck's on the short side, my mind is you have to seal the bottom of the ice and seal the short side because that's the most dangerous. You can't allow that puck to bounce off you or get shot off your back into the net. If that player decides to pick that puck up and wrap around, you can deal with it because you now have a little bit more time. But for me, the bad goal in this situation is that bounce ricochet off the body. Whereas I'd rather a goalie give up this wraparound or this wrap out and pass than one off his butt into the net. And that's just my philosophy on it. Other people might argue differently, but that's the way that I see it. And that's kind of how I coach. And whether that's right or wrong, that's just kind of in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, and you can see, I think it's Giordano does have the far post covered. And it was actually interesting to note after this goal that Samsonov started to do the VH or the traditional leg lock in Game 6 a ton, as opposed to the RVH in this position. I guess it was if he's playing on the Anaheim Ducks, not to slander the Ducks, but a weak defensive team, maybe he doesn't do that. But he was playing on the Leafs. The Leafs are pretty good locking down on defense in the playoffs there. So, and he made a couple big saves in the VH in that position. So I guess if you're not comfortable, if you have that sort of, hesitation in the back of your head going into that the transition like that, you might as well go into the leg lock and risk the wraparound happening like that, right?
Yeah, and so like as a goalie, like if you catch your edge like that, like you know, like he knows he messed up,
Yeah.
and the last thing he wants to do is do that again. So like,
Mhm.
for me, if if one of my guys or if I did that when I played, it would be like the next practice or pregame skate, I'd be hammering home that motion again and again. But for him, if he's just like, you know what, it's not worth it, I'm just going to do the VH. There's nothing wrong with the VH. Guys just don't use it, especially in the blocker side, because it's hard to move out of.
Yeah.
But it's still a good save selection in the similar situation.
Exactly. I think we hammered this one pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next clip we have here. This is a Matt Murray goal. I think this was the Leafs 5-4 win over Ottawa, I believe. But yeah, let's take a look at this one.
So yeah, there's a few things here. So again, I can only give you my philosophy. I'm sure there's 100 other goalie coaches will say different things. For me, this puck isn't dangerous. So as soon as that puck gets below the goal line, it's not a shot threat. So I would much prefer to have my goalie hold his feet, because as soon as you hold your feet, your options are basically unlimited. You can always go down, you can always hold, you go post to post, you can slide, you can enter the RVH if you want to. If this guy decides to cut up, you can still enter it. Now, by Murray committing early, that's just a position of comfort for him. He's confident in that position. Now he does what I call he goes fishing for it. So he swings at the puck, which for my rule is anything through the blue, that's the goalie's responsibility. Anything outside, it's just try to fill the net, chase the middle. Don't worry about trying to poke it. But the problem here is not only does he swing, but you can look at his trail leg or his anchor leg, so his blocker leg, it comes below the goal line. And now he's out of position. He has to swing that leg forward. He's not able to get a good push off the blocker post because that leg is so far behind him. Tries to get up, isn't able to get a good recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything kind of falls. Like there's myself and like Derek Bougen, my goalie coach, we've always talked about how most goals go in as a result of what happens 3 to 5 seconds before the play.
Mm-hmm.
So like this goal goes in because he chose to enter that RVH a little too early. And then the execution of it didn't go well with the pass out. He swung, shoulders are out of the way, and now it's a scramble. So it wasn't like the shot itself was the issue. It was everything leading up to the shot caused him to be out of position and have him at a disadvantage where an NHL shooter is going to be able to find that every time.
Exactly. And so you mentioned the swing, or he was trying to reach on the puck there and trying to kind of poke and prevent the pass from coming out there. I think that is another pretty good thing for players to look at. I mean, when the play's behind the net and the goalie is trying to cover that extra couple inches, whatever, of the pass coming out from behind the net there, just know if that pass comes out, that he's going to be out of position on that shot that happens there, because you have to, when you're reaching like that, you're not in position. You're going to have to reach the arm back in or kind of make an awkward movement to get square to the puck there. So it's something that if you're able to get the pass through, it's going to be a much more advantageous shot, right?
Yeah, and Murray he doesn't leave his post, but he starts to transition to we call it like a soft seal or double seal. Basically, it's when guys go like butterfly with skate on each post, and he does that a little too early because this puck is still kind of on the short side. So there's no reason for him to already begin to transition. And you'll see that as that puck's released, he's starting to kind of go into that soft seal, which is probably why that foot comes back, and it throws him out of position where right here, he's actually in a good spot to block this pass with the heel of his stick. If he didn't try to initially or immediately go into the soft seal, it never would have pulled him back and away from being able to block that puck. So I think that actually might have been the real killer, is his over like excitement to enter the soft seal before that pass was even made or before that puck crossed the back or the middle of the net. That's when you need to make that transition to the other side.
Yeah. And that is another little thing here when you're watching Tim Stützle on this one, like just presenting the options and not tipping your hand of what you're doing here, because if you're faking kind of the wraparound on this play. Matt Murray's going to play it differently than if it was a pass in front, obviously. So not with Matt Murray not being able to know, or not having, kind of not being forward thinking on this one and not knowing what Stützle is doing, there's one of two plays that could happen here: the wrap or the pass in front. And by him not knowing, he picks the wrong play and puts himself in the wrong position. And as a result, it makes the chance from, I think it was Brady Tkachuk on this one, a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, and that's all it is. Like, a lot of these goals that go in are mistakes that goalies make. And that's the hard part about being a goalie, is it's something as simple as entering, the RVH a second too early, or making the wrong anticipation, and you get beat. And I know, like, obviously it's the NHL, and I'm from Hamilton. Like, I know the Leafs nation is, everyone's pretty hard on goalies, but it's these minor things that end up causing goals. And to be like perfect there's no goalie that's perfect every single night. Even guys that get shutouts have like misreads, and those pucks just go wide, or those pucks hit the post. So like, it's so hard, it's so tricky. So I always cut a lot of basically most of my goalies some slack, unless it's like a really, really bad goal, just because like there are so many things that he could have done better here. And he could have just got lucky. It could have hit his shoulder, could have hit the crossbar, and then we wouldn't be watching this clip. But here we are.
Exactly. I actually do remember in minor hockey, I got a shutout, and my dad made me go to another skate afterwards. He's like, "You played awful in that game."
Hockey dads, man.
Let's move on to the next one. It's another Matt Murray one. Pass goes from behind the net. I think the Leafs lost this one 4-3. William Nylander made it close, but they didn't pull it out. Let's take a look deeper into this one.
Okay, so shorthanded. We have a righty, and we have two righties. Sorry, you have a lefty with the puck. We have a righty out front, and we have a righty back door. So that's not terrible. I don't know who that is on D, but I think that's a bad play by the D. Shouldn't force that guy, but I'm not a D coach. And then he gets beat in the far side. On first glance, I don't have a ton of issues with this. Again, like,
he's on his feet. I think he loses a second because he transitions into RVH as the pass is coming out.
Also, that pass ricochets off the D to whoever that is. So that's why. So Alex, if you look at the angle, so when you look at the angle of the stick, he's trying to shovel it to this area. So Murray's in a good position for that initial shot. Now that puck ends up going off the defenseman directly through Tuck. So now there's a subtle change of direction. Murray pushes. I would like to see this blocker come more forward rather than to the side.
Yeah.
But it happens so fast, and it's a sudden change of direction. And it's a one-timer from Tuck's already.
Nitpicking
so
kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
It's a good point. It's this little puck tip by the stick right there on the heel that changes it, and it sets up Tuck perfectly, because that initial pass was not going to Tuck. That initial pass was going to whoever the Leaf defenseman is in front.
Okay. Yeah, I think this was I can't remember which goal this was, but anyways, I think that was Mitch Marner on that play there. So not even a defenseman. So bit of just an unlucky play.
That's hockey. And like, and then someone's gonna be like, "Oh, why is it in the RVH?" Because that was actually, the RVH was the right choice, because the puck was going inside the crease. So it's like, we have to watch these back, and you have to watch it with like a trained eye to really like be like, okay, like, yes, these are okay. And you can see, like, I don't think actually, I think for the most part, almost all of this, the choices that the goalies have made have been the correct one, other than the last one where I would have preferred Murray hold his feet, just because the puck was pretty far outside of the shot area.
Exactly. So pretty quick on this one. Let's get into so this was an interesting one here. I was really curious. Is this the right selection? Is this, like, what could the goalie have done better on this one? I'm a little bit torn. This is a Kamloops first goal from the first game of the Memorial Cup this year.
Okay, so a couple of first things. So I think the RVH post to post here is fine. So for me, I don't like my guys going paddle down unless that puck is kind of within a 3/4 stick length area, or that puck is directly behind the net. I'd rather this blocker be on top of the pad, shoulders a little higher on the post, but that's not the real issue. He steps up off angle, so he ends up recovering as if the puck was here, not if the puck's here. Then that puck is released, and you can see, so my line's moved, but you can see that he's just completely off angle.
Okay. So just didn't follow. So, okay. So paddle down. So if we rewind a little bit, I guess that's another thing to kind of take a look at is the goalie. If you're bringing the puck into the corner there, if the goalie has his paddle down like that, you can kind of take advantage off a pass that comes out front there, and even off of the pass reception when the goalie isn't on his feet making that play from the post and they're in the RVH. If you're able to get some movement on that shot, like a curl and drag, a nice curl and drag on that one, you're really going to be able to set the goalie off of his angle on that. Am I right?
Yeah. And the thing is too, is so with that paddle down, that actually causes a lot of short side goals when players attack and from up high, they'll go like if a player is attacking kind of entering that golden triangle area, you're just getting double coverage. Your blocker is just covering your pad, and that's your pad's there for a reason. But when you do that, it pulls your shoulder down. So now you're exposing the short side. And so unless you're like Ben Bishop, like 6'7", you're going to give up too much of that high area. Here, the paddle down isn't ideal, but it's not the worst thing. He's just protecting that pass option.
Yeah.
Now the recovery, he cuts it short, causing him to give up that far side, and he's not able to extend that leg because he is on angle to the dot where that puck is released from here. So there's what the shooter sees and what this puck sees is a whole lot of glove side, whereas he probably thinks he's slightly on angle and he's way off. So it's more of the recovery that was the issue there than anything else.
All right, let's get into our last clip here, getting away from the RVH, going into the VH or leg lock here. I want to break down this clip. It was the Austin Matthews goal, second goal against the Bruins. Nylander makes a terrific play here. Jamie, what are you seeing on this play?
So I like this. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. It looks like he ends up catching his heel of his glove leg across. So really that VH transition, something goes wrong. So this heel gets caught outside the post. When you do a VH, ideally you don't have the vertical foot outside the post. You have it flush to the post. So actually like the sidebar of the pad will wrap around neatly to the post. That way it allows you to be able to push to the far side without the risk of getting caught on the post. So it's similar to that Samsonov play where he was in the overlap and his heel got caught and he catches his edge and falls. This is just a similar situation. So Ullmark catches his foot. You can see that because he gets caught, it then pulls his weight backwards. So as he's now falling backwards, he's never able to regain control. So that pass comes forward. Easy goal for Matthews because Ullmark's still trying to regain balance and regain positioning from getting caught. And so that's all it is. It's just a subtle thing of him just being outside the post, anticipating Nylander's going to try to roof it. And instead, he ends up having a transition, gets caught, isn't able to recover, and gets beat. And that's all it is. So like, so like when I try to teach guys VH, I say, get that foot flush. So it's basically your skate is parallel with the post. Your pad's going to be just outside of it. That way you don't risk getting caught as soon as you push to the far side.
Yeah. And from like a player perspective here, what I really liked from Nylander, if you back it up just a hair here, when he's coming, he comes in with speed and he presents shot to Ullmark and he gives it a lean forward. And once you see him lean forward like that, we see Ullmark drop into the VH, kind of like a, oh shit, he's going to shoot that puck. And then instead of shooting it, Nylander kind of plays the option there, goes for the wrap. The wrap's not even really there. He knows Austin Matthews is there and taps it home there. Just kind of, again, comes in with speed, like gives him a little fake gives him a little bit of a fake to freeze him, results in Ullmark not being able to get across cleanly, and then a wide open net for Matthews there. So
Yeah,
just
that's a good play by Nylander because he's a righty. So a righty's
Mhm.
only going to have short side, and Ullmark takes that away. He's not score like Nylander's not going to score from there. So
exactly.
what are the options? The way that when I do breakdowns for players or do scouting reports, if you get in this tight as a player, your options are, can I hold onto the puck and create a good play? Or in my mind, it's, can I create havoc? Can I get the goalie out of position? So could he throw a pop off that blocker pad? Yes, but as a righty, probably not. It's a tough angle. If he's a lefty, much easier.
Yeah.
Now, in order for Nylander decides that, hey, I'm going to hold on to it, create options. He then sees Matthews, makes a good play. Now Nylander could have peeled up and stepped. He buys time. So essentially, he comes in from here, and like when I look at it from the goalie's point of view, goaltending is just a series of inputs and outputs.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we have one input. What are the possible outputs? We have shot, wraparound, stop, etc., etc. Nylander gets to a point. So what now? He's has eliminated a bunch of outputs and created new ones. Now he's come here. He's lost the shot input. Now he's created new outputs of holding the puck. And so as a goalie, we have to be able, like our brains have to be able to basically calculate and understand what is available, like at a really fast pace. And essentially you get that during just lots of training, and that's kind of your goalie IQ and experience. But I think Nylander does a really good job, and he takes advantage of a fortunate transition by Ullmark, and he just gets burned.
Results in the game-winning goal on this one. So this was our last clip. Jamie, cannot thank you enough for all of these breakdowns. The breakdowns that Jamie was referring to throughout the episode on his Instagram. Check him out on Instagram. He puts out some great content. Jamie, what's your handle?
Yeah, it's just at Jamie Phillips 30. I think if you search Jamie Phillips, it hopefully would pop up. Sure. It's just me in a helmet as my Instagram or icon. But yeah, Jamie Phillips 30, that's the Instagram. And if you're curious about anything, just shoot me a DM, and I always love to answer any questions.
Awesome. And check out Goalie Science. It's a great podcast too. Can't recommend it enough. Jamie, thanks so much again. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.